Use headphones for best experience. Thanks for your fantastic support. Hi, welcome to another video. And first, let me show you that you can also find my content on audio streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, or other platforms. So then you type in ASMRctica, ASMR. And there you'll find a lot of albums. If you want to listen, audio only. Today I would like to draw a dinosaur for the first time on this channel. And this is a topic for a video I've been thinking about doing for quite some time now. If you have watched my latest videos, there's one ramble video about geology map something, multicolor geology map, where I talk about new interests, new topics, but that the video recording had been delayed for some reasons. And I actually took a course on the Uppsala University this winter about dinosaur facts, dinosaur and evolution. It was so interesting, but I just kept collecting information and I never felt ready for recording a video about it. But now I felt I want to do something about the dinosaurs, so I will start by drawing one species of a dinosaur and see what happens. I'm not sure if I will do only one in this video or maybe three. I've been thinking about doing three to start with, but let's see how long it takes. But today I want to draw and talk about Allosaurus. And yeah, first I do some loose sketching, try to get the overall shape, like I usually start when I do my drawing videos. I'll zoom in a bit. Maybe I will erase a bit here. I think I already made the skull, the face, too detailed here. Too many lines here. Sketch. And I will choose another pencil, harder graphite in this one. So Allosaurus had this characteristic brow horn just above the eye. Look totally crazy here. And they had quite, very sharp teeth, but they were not so big, each tooth, compared to, for example, Tyrannosaurus that later evolved. It looks so crazy. I did something with the eye here. So it's actually the bone here in the facial bone, lacrimal bone, between the eye socket. The eye socket is here in the skull, and the antorbital fenestra hole here in the skeleton. That is common for, at least for all theropods, because Allosaurus is a theropod, but maybe also all dinosaurs. Now I can't remember. Maybe that is one of the characteristics for defining a dinosaur, that they all have this antorbital fenestra. At least I know all theropods have it. And then they have the temporal fenestra here. Two temporal fenestra, or one on each side here. Of course, there's one left and one right of all these, but here's the inferior temporal fenestra, and then on top of the skull is the superior temporal fenestra, and that's also characteristic for diapsids. That's why they call diapsids. Two arches, I think it means. It's two holes here in the skull. And of course, an eye socket here, the orbital, and then this characteristic antorbital fenestra, and then there are some additional holes in the skull, I think here also, nares. Um, but between the antropital fenestra and the eye socket is the lacrimal bone, part of the skull. Here's the postorbital bone. Here's the maxilla bone. Here comes the dentary bone. And the angular and surangular bones and the fenestra here as well. And this is characteristic, one thing that is characteristic for neotheropods. Almost all theropods are also neotheropods. It's like the next step in the phylogenic tree. All the famous theropods are neotheropods. One thing that defines them is that they have this intramandibular joint here, so that's also helping them, and yeah, to be really good carnivores, catching prey, because it makes the jaw more flexible. It's like a small joint here, so just a little more flexible if they catch a prey, bite prey, and then hold it. But it doesn't. It's not visible like this, so I will not keep it like that. It's not visible from the outside, probably. Of course, we haven't seen the skin of a dinosaur, only the bones. But it's not like, yeah, it's just very. It's just two bones that are together, but it is like a small flexibility there. And a characteristic for a group of theropods called the tetanuri that Allosaurus is a part of, is that they had their teeth restricted to the front of the jaw. I think the teeth has to be not more to the front than the eye socket. So here's the eye socket, then the teeth should not be seen more back in the mouth than here. So yeah, front of the eye socket you have the teeth rows. Then it can be a tetanuri. Tetanuri is also a group that includes most of the famous theropods, but not all of them. For example, not the Ceratosauria, which includes also the Carnotaur and some ancient forms of theropods. They still have more crocodile-like jaws with the teeth all the way back. But just like Tyrannosaurus and other famous dinosaurs, theropods like Velociraptor and a lot of them have this feature, the tetanuri features. And Allosaurus had one of these brow horns over each eye, so two of them. And then they also had a low ridge, or two low ridges, one on each side, but here you can only see one, extended from the horn to along the nasal bones here. So it's like a ridge here. And the purpose of this horn is believed to have been maybe one of the most common reasons, theories for the reason is display. Maybe they had a strong, significant color, red, for example. They are quite often depicted with the red horns like this. It could maybe have been a weapon for combat, but maybe they are a bit too fragile for that, because they were covered with keratin and were quite fragile. So maybe more possible is the theory with that it was some kind of display for attract mates. Then on the top of the skull somewhere, I haven't been able to see more exactly where it is, but my guess is here. Allosaurus had some kind of ridge, like also many tyrannosaurids, for muscle attachment. So I guess it's here under the neck here, where the neck starts, because you can see Allosaurus have a very powerful neck, so there are a lot of muscles here. Some of them probably attached to this extra ridge that is quite unique for Allosaurus skull, but some, like I said, some tyrannosaurids have it also. So they could have very powerful, flexible neck. You can imagine when they have caught prey with their jaws, powerful jaws, and then they could like have this really big gaping ability. So they could really bite the prey, and then as the prey were trying to escape, they could have this very flexible neck to hold it. So it was an apex predator of its time. It was quite big animal, really big actually, but compared to later dinosaurs that lived in the late Cretaceous, for example. I don't know if I have mentioned it already when Allosaurus lived, but it was in the late Jurassic period. They had these bumps along their spine all the way from the neck to the tail. And they had a really long tail to compensate, balancing the whole big, large body and super big hind legs. But compared to, for example, Tyrannosaurus that lived in late Cretaceous, everything was a bit smaller. And for example, the hind legs, they had evolved even more powerful and even more better for running fast and everything. Because the late Cretaceous period was around 100 to 66 million years ago, and Allosaurus lived in the late Jurassic period, which was to around 155 to 145 million years ago. So it's not 100 million years between the two, but almost actually. So you could say that Allosaurus, I guess you can say that Allosaurus or Tyrannosaurus is closer to humans than to Allosaurus, actually. Even though they look quite similar from the first glance, maybe. So the length of an average Allosaur average, and the height was 5 meters or 16 feet. I think the largest one that has been found was maybe 9, or maybe they think that they could have been those who were 10.5 meters in length. And compared to later dinosaur, later theropod, Tyrannosaurus rex, that I always refer to in this video because it's the most known one, I think. They could be 12.3, 12.4 meters in length. So it was a bit smaller. And a bit lighter, like more slender. Really large, powerful legs they had. And the arms were quite small, but not so small. For example, in Tyrannosaurus, they would have been something like this only. So the arms were still quite long. They had 3 fingered hands, 3 claws, and Tyrannosaurus only had 2 claws and fingers on their hands, so that's a big difference. All dinosaurs evolved from their ancestor Archosaur when they had 5 fingers, just like us humans. But then the first and 5th digit started to being reduced for the theropods, both on their hands and especially on their feet. So the characteristic footprint for a theropod is 3 toes, like this. So pedal 1 and 5 digits are very reduced on Allosaurus and other theropods. So small, but still not that small, and very powerful forelimbs for Allosaurus. This looks so much like a human hand, I don't know why. The rib cage, it was quite bulky built here, and broad, large rib cage. And I read something about the ribs were not connected to the spine at all. They were just connected to the front, like front of the body somehow. Or not front, how do you refer to this in a proper way? Like anterior, I guess. Anterior, posterior. So the anterior. Then, of course, there are the characteristic hip bone for dinosaurs and for theropods, and especially saurischians. All theropods are saurischians, and the saurischians had the characteristic hip bone looking like this, with a pubic bone pointing forwards and the ischium pointing backwards, and then the sacrum, or the the ilium here. That was some sacral vertebrae that was fused together. And in the case of Allosaurus, there were 5 sacral vertebrae fused together. And the more fused together vertebrae you have here, the more powerful legs you can have, and like more muscle, more stability, more muscles for the tail and for the very strong hind limbs, of course. Let me just draw these spinal bumps. And the pubic bone for the Allosaurus was quite characteristic because it looked like a foot. It had this shape and then a shape like this, like a foot. And that foot shape may have assisted when the animal was sitting on the ground. Or it could have been muscle attachments. Even more muscle attachments on that foot. It had a quite short neck compared to many other theropods. It consisted of 9 vertebrae here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Here somewhere, cervical vertebrae. It's a bit annoying that I never finish these bumps. I like that silhouette of the animal. The tail is very long, as you can see. It has almost half the animal in length to balance this very heavy, powerful, strong body. So it was an apex predator. The Jurassic Lion, it is called. Of its time. But there have been found theropods that were even, also carnivorous, that were even larger, probably later. But maybe they were niched in different areas. So maybe the Allosaurus, for example, had the forest, or no, I think there's a theory that the Allosaurus niche was the plains. So it could run really fast and hunt on the big plains. Torvosaurus is another theropod living at the same time as Allosaurus. That was probably a bit bigger. Also apex predator, or maybe that was the apex predator. Also Ceratosaurus lived during this time with a characteristic nose horn. Ceratosaurus, I mentioned that group before. It's the same group as the Carnotaur and the Abelisauridae. And they had the crocodile teeth all the way back in the mouth. nice picture that I'm looking at. I kind of like these profile images from the side when I want to compare different species, different genera, families. Teeth are pointing a bit inwards, making it impossible for its prey to escape, probably. And yeah, it had a furcula, or a wishbone, here in the chest. It's fused to the clavicles that we humans have just like in birds, they were fused together into one single bone. And the reason why so many bones were fused together, and also why there were so many holes in the skull, is because it was good for the evolution. They were evolved to be more and more lightly built as they grew bigger, because so they could run fast and everything and not be too heavy compared to their size. So many bones were fused to reduce weight. It's like a framework. Dinosaur skulls are often compared to just frameworks. And Allosaurus is a very, very famous dinosaur. It has been known for a very long time. It was first discovered in 1869, so it's quite early, very early. And then the guy who found it was called F.V. Hayden. And he found vertebra from the tail, I think it was. And the vertebrae on Allosaurus were quite different from the vertebra that had been previously found. It has been described as a concave hourglass shape. And they thought it looked like a horse hoof. And that's why Othniel Charles Marsh later named this species and family Allosaurus. It comes from Greek allos, that means strange, other or different, and saurus, meaning lizard. So, referring to those strange shape of the vertebra in the tail that they had found. But later they have found more dinosaurs with that type of, that shape in the vertebrae. So the name was coined during the Bone Wars in 1877, I think. Bone Wars that occurred during 1870s to 1890s approximately. It was a war, not a war, but it was a fight between Othniel Charles Marsh, he who named the Allosaurus, and the other paleontologist Edward Drinker Cope. During this time they found a lot of new species, and they also tried so hard to find new species and families and genera that they sometimes named new dinosaurs that wasn't really a new dinosaur. It was just another specimen of the same already discovered species. But they wanted so much to it was like a fight who could come up with most new dinosaurs, discover most new dinosaurs. So that was a very intense period in the dinosaur history, of course. So then Allosaurus was discovered, and then in 1991 a Swiss team found a 95% complete skeleton of an Allosaurus. And that's like very unique, that you have so much of the skeleton of a dinosaur. And it was named Big Al. It was found in Wyoming. The first fossil was found in Morrison Formation in Colorado in 1869. It has also been found in Cleveland Lloyd Dinosaur Quarry in Utah, as well as in Portugal and Tanzania. And the most frequent fossil is the species Allosaurus fragilis. A lot of them found in Morrison Formation. But there are also other species. For example, the Allosaurus maximus and Allosaurus Chimadzeni, I think it's called. And that's the species that Big Al is. Yeah, Big Al species is the Chimadzeni. Another species found in Portugal is Allosaurus europaeus, but maybe that's just Allosaurus fragilis with another name because it's found in Europe. In late Jurassic, it was not far from North America to Europe, especially not the Iberian island. It was an island back then, I think, with Portugal and today's Portugal and Spain. So Pangaea had just quite recently split up, and the Atlantic Ocean started to be visible. So it was some kind of sea between North America and Portugal, but not much. And not much between North America and today's Northern Europe and Central Europe, like Nordic countries. Nordic countries was almost attached to Greenland, with no Atlantic Ocean in between. Greenland was attached to North American continent. Maybe I can draw a quick map of that after I finish this one. I haven't drawn so many dinosaurs, so I'm trying to figure out how to do it in a nice way. But of course, like I said, I have a reference picture that I found online. Maybe I can also include the link to the reference picture. I think there will only be Allosaurus in this video. It could be nice to have one video for each dinosaur that I choose, actually. I can see it takes some time actually to draw it and to ramble about it at the same time. So even though only 2 toes and claws are visible here, there are 3 of them. Maybe I can add a third one. And also a 5th one and a 1st one, but they are reduced, very reduced. I think I have made the tail a bit too thin. It doesn't look that powerful and heavy like in my reference picture. And the tail, the spine, tail part of the spine consisted of 45 vertebrae, which was very long. And 5 fused sacral vertebrae on this large hip bone, the ilium part of the pelvic girdle. So, yeah, the more fused together bones here, the more support to the muscles of the legs, more power. I think I have read that it could run approximately 20 miles per hour. I also read that one theory is that it did something called grazing on flesh grazing, I think it was called. So it because the jaw is very powerful, but not compared to, again, Tyrannosaurus. So, and also during this time, the Jurassic was the time for very large herbivorous dinosaurs, or the sauropods, the really big long-necked dinosaurs. Also Stegosaurus, another famous dinosaur from this time, herbivorous dinosaur. So there are theories, because Allosaurus is not that big, so maybe it also could, and it has quite small teeth if you compare to other species. So maybe they did something called flesh grazing, that they bite those big animals and caught some meat with their teeth, but the animal could run away and continue to live, even though Allosaurus didn't have to kill the animal. It's quite interesting. I'm not much into drawing precise and very detailed, so that's why I have this problems with finishing these bumps. But I think they're good to include to get the overall expression and shape of an Allosaurus, of course. The big Al, found in 1991, and you can see a documentary or nature documentary about Big Al that was aired in 2000, like a special episode of the Walking with Dinosaurs episode. I've seen that one. Really fun to see. the life from being born to until he died. Big Al, how they imagine his life. Just from interpretation of how the bones looked. Injuries on the bones, for example, they found. So yeah, quite symmetric here. 3 prominent claws on the forelimb and 3 claws on the on the foot. And I think I'm quite happy with the result here. I don't think I will continue. Much more now. I will zoom out, of course, so you can see the whole dinosaur. I could at least add some darker color to the claws. To make them a bit more visible. And I can make a super simple sketch of the continents, how the world looked, the continental plates and the map of the Earth in the late Jurassic period when Allosaurus roamed on the Earth. So here's Gondwana, big continent, consisting of today's Africa and South America. Here you can see today's India subcontinent, connected to Australia, Antarctica. So here you can see that it had already started to split up. And India will eventually start its journey towards Eurasia. And here's something called the Central Atlantic Ocean. No, first the Gulf of Mexico here, and then the Central Atlantic Ocean here, the first part of the Atlantic Ocean that was created during this time, because in Pangea's time was in Permian, I guess. I always think of, because they all start with the letter P, so it's easy to remember. Permian was the time for Pangea. And I'm not sure exactly when they start to split up. And of course you can't tell it exactly since everything is in such a slow pace, this movement. But Greenland was attached to North America, like this. And here's Europe, Baltica, I guess, here. Baltica has a very stable continental crust. So Greenland, Appalachian Mountains, Scotland, all those mountainous areas, Scandinavian mountains, mountains in Scotland, Appalachian mountains, and the mountains in eastern Greenland, they are like remnants from the same mountain range. But here they had started to split up a bit. So you have the Atlantic Ocean, what would become the Atlantic Ocean here. And Iberia was like an island. Turkey was here somewhere. What's not Turkey? Anatolian Peninsula. Siberia, North China, South China. And the big Tethys Ocean between Gondwana and Asia. So the Morrison Formation in Colorado is here somewhere. Cleveland Lloyd Dinosaur Quarry in Utah. So it's in the central or more to the west in today's United States, where a lot of Allosaurs have been found. And in Portugal and in Tanzania. So probably it has been this family of dinosaurs have been distributed over a big piece of the earth, and its ancestors probably lived, or of course lived during the Permian, when it was the same continent, everything, the Pangaea continent. I can also include a very simple phylogenic tree here, because I think it's so interesting with the theropods. Theropods, it's such an important group, or at least famous group of the dinosaurs. So many famous species and families are theropods. They're very popular in pop culture. Jurassic Park. Allosaurus is in Jurassic Park movies. The scene when they are traveling in those transparent globes. Then there are Allosaurus. They're followed by a pack of Allosaurus. I wonder which one that is. I never remember that. If it's the third one or second one. It's not the first one. Maybe the third one or fourth. Oh, can't remember. Here is Theropods. And here's the next step in the tree, the Neotheropods. So here they got the intramandibular joint that I mentioned in the jaw, the lower jaw. Also they got the furcula, fused bones in the chest. The manual digit 5 was lost, so they only got 4 fingers here. And in the hip girdle they had 5 or more sacrals, fused bones together. And the pedal digit 1 and 5 started to be better reduced. So started to get the 3 characteristic 3 toes, foot. Then there's a branch here, the Psilophysidae, which means hollow form. By the way, theropod means beast foot. Then there's another branch here, ancient type of called Dilophosauridae. It means two-crest lizard. Also a famous one from Jurassic Park 1. Even though that one is not very accurate to how they looked in reality. And then there are the Averostra, meaning bird snouts. And a branch from here contains the Ceratosauria, the horned lizard, with Ceratosaurus, Carnotaurus, Abelisaurus. I mentioned them quite a lot because they have those crocodile teeth, still have the crocodile teeth, type of teeth. And here somewhere the teeth started to be restricted to the front of the jaw. And then we have the Tetanuria, which means stiff tails. Most of the famous ones can be included in this group. Here we have a branch with the Spinosauridae. Spino meaning like the spine. And here's the Spinosaurus, very famous one, that I would love to make a video about also and draw the Spinosaurus. It's so characteristic with a big sail on its back. And then there are the Theropods, the bird theropods. So now they start to be more and more similar to today's birds, because birds are actually dinosaurs. They are all birds living today are part of this taxonomy, phylogenic tree. So yeah, all these are the ancestors of birds, but not these branches. Theropoda, we have from here we have a branch with the carnosaurs, the flesh lizards. Carno meaning flesh, lizard meaning saurus meaning lizard, and Allosaurus is part of the carnosaurs. So it's a bit ancient form of the theropods, because this line will continue to the more modern one. With modern I mean Cretaceous ones, and some of the most famous ones. Here we have the Coelurosauria, the hollow-tailed lizards, including Tyrannosaurus, also including all the birds. From here we have the Compsognathidae, Compsognathus, also famous from Jurassic Park. I think it's from Jurassic Park 2, when the girl in the beginning on the beach, very famous scene. Once you have seen it, you don't forget it, I guess. And all these very small dinosaurs, the Compsognathus. She found one, I found it very cute, but then there are more of them, and more, and then they're not so cute anymore. And then there are the Tyrannoraptora, the Tyrannosaurus and the raptors together. And from here we have the Tyrannosauridae. I've mentioned Tyrannosaurus so many times in this video. And if we continue towards today's birds, we will reach Maniraptoriformes, Maniraptora, Paravis, Eomaniraptora. the raptors, also famous dinosaurs, theropods. And they become more and more bird-like, and also protofeathers. Protofeathers probably already here with the first Coelurosauria. Tyrannosaurus had probably some kind of protofeathers. And the raptors had probably feathers also. Powered flight, and the first flying dinosaurs and birds come here. But let's talk about that in a later video, when I have an example from this part of the tree. Now we ended here with Allosaurus. So thank you so much for watching. It's been really fun to make this video, and hope you enjoy. See you soon, and let me know if you want to see a special dinosaur. What ideas you have for dinosaurs, or your favorite dinosaur, and I can see which one seems to be the most popular one, and maybe I can pick that one in a later video. So thank you so much for your support and for watching. Take care. Sleep well.